Welcome to Brutally Honest Talk Radio, where you will learn about an issue minus the BS. We don't always say what you want to hear, but what you need to hear about the issues of the day. Here's your host, Inger, along with Elmo, with his political insight and commentary.
Brutally Honest Talk Radio. I'm Inger, your host, and I have with me Elmo with his political insight and commentary. How are you doing, Elmo?
I'm doing good. Good. Thank you for having me again on the show. Hope everyone listening is doing well. We're getting better and moving forward.
Absolutely. What do you have for us today?
Oh, we had a good show. We're going to talk about several things, including Juneteenth, gun sales. We're going to hear from Candace Owens and talk about a tweet that Trump recently put out. I guess we could start with the Juneteenth holiday. All right. So this is something that I didn't even know existed until 5 to 10 years ago. And I heard it from another gentleman from Galveston, Texas. Is that how you pronounce it? Galveston or Galveston?
Yeah, Galveston.
Right. And so he was telling me and a few other people, I thought he was saying that it was the day that slavery ended in Texas. And back then, word traveled a little slower than it does now. So, like when the war ended, meaning the Civil War, when slavery ended, some people didn't find out until a few days later. Some people didn't find out until weeks later. you know. So um, he said it was basically the end of slavery, and there was a celebration day. I can't remember if it's supposed to be June 13th or June 19th.
Okay, let's start with that. It was June 19th.
June 19th. Okay, so that's still coming. That hasn't gotten here yet. And I'm mentioning this because Trump is criticized again for scheduling a rally, a Trump rally, on this day. All right, but I heard a couple different origins or definitions, and forgive me if I haven't delved into this deeper yet. But one is the one that I gave you about slavery ending. Another one is that in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with the rioting and the massacre of black people in Black Wall Street in Tulsa, which was like in the early, an early part of the 1900s.
Uh-huh.
All right, like real early, like around 1920, around that time. So those are two different stories and talking about two different states. And so because he scheduled a rally on the day when this is going on, this is a day when I never hear anything planned or anything celebrated. Right? And if you look at American holidays and American histories, there are a few holidays that we celebrate, which on those days, people died. I mean, just a few, I mean, you correct me here. Let's just have a quick conversation about this. 4th of July, also known as Independence Day, because the rebels or the people that went to the new land and the colonies got their independence from Britain and the
Uh-huh.
Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
We celebrate our independence. Independence and freedom was birthed out of people dying and fighting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I don't think Trump even mentioned or acknowledged Juneteenth. That's like a contraction, when you put two words together with an
Yeah.
apostrophe, like won't and ain't. It's
Yeah.
not an actual word, but some people wanted to say that or started to say that instead of saying June 19th, I suppose.
Right.
So, where did I see this? I can't remember. I can't remember. I got a few sources. The main ones being Red Eye Radio, WSB, Newsy, and sometimes PolitiFact. I don't know who put this out, but somebody decided to make it a story. And let's see, what day of the week is that? Is that Friday or Saturday,
I
the
think it's
19th?
a
Right.
Saturday, if
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
mistaken. It's
Right. Now, it being a Saturday, that probably had nothing to do with Trump scheduling. I mean, people people work during the week. I mean, it could have been on a Wednesday afternoon.
Well, this year it's going to be on Friday. Friday is June the 19th.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that
Hmm.
is. And I heard about this holiday probably around the same time, about 10 years ago. From what I've heard about it, is the celebration of when I guess the slaves found out they were freed. And like you said, it took
Hmm.
a while for the information to get to them. And
Right.
now it's a really big thing, Juneteenth. So that's kind of where I heard about it.
Now, when you say it's a big thing, are you getting the feeling that this is big among blacks nationwide or mainly in Texas?
Nationwide, because I think the statewide NAACP, they
Hmm.
do something every year on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think it's definitely statewide. I don't think it's just Texas. It's nation. I think it's nationwide. As a matter of fact, I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Nation. Yeah, but it's not something that has been popular. Like I didn't hear about it when I was a kid. Let's put it that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you're born and raised in the South.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I'm from Detroit. I'm from Michigan, and like I was saying, yeah, never heard anything about it to the early 2000 teens.
Yes, exactly.
So we hear something almost every week, criticisms on different levels, and I step back and I look at the big picture and I wonder, was there anybody that was going to vote for Trump that they hear some of this and then it changes their mind? Who
You
is that person? I want to meet such a person if it's going to
know,
make a difference.
yeah, yeah, because I've seen articles that he was advised to change the date based
Oh,
upon
really?
15th and Oklahoma and the Black Wall Street thing and that sort of
Hmm.
stuff. Um, it seems to me people's minds are pretty much made up by
Yeah.
now. I mean, you may have a few in the middle who are still undecided or don't know what they're going to do, but I
Right.
don't think that particular incident, or if he'd held that rally on that day, would have exactly made a difference. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for him now because he was so insensitive as to do X, Y, and Z as to
Right.
have that."
Right.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think people are they have bigger things to worry about. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. So that is one thing, and I'm going to come back to Trump later with a tweet that he made that is a good thing and something I've already been thinking about. One thing I wanted to throw out that I wanted to ask you. This is pertaining to the media and the jargon and the dialogue. Does it seem to you that there are new words that the media is using or that we're hearing in the media that we weren't hearing more than 3 or 4 years ago? Or a word that will seem to be a popular word to use that will stick around for a few years and then they'll drop it? Kind of like global warming. When nobody's saying that now, they're saying climate change, although there's two words you know. But to give you an example of what I mean, one is narrative. Like, we know what the word narrative means, but no one was using it or starting to use it as much as the media was 2015, 2016. And that was something heard almost every day. And then people adopted it and they started using it. So uh,
Gotcha.
words like narrative, redacted, dossier. These are words that I'd never heard before. Never heard before 5 years ago. Like redacted. Like, what's the situation? in life where I've ever seen that used. Or if I didn't know and nobody told me, I would think that dossier was a French alcohol that came in a flat bottle, that you could get at a
Uh-huh.
liquor store.
I don't know. I think narrative, I think that one's going to stick. Um,
Mm.
Redacted, I've heard it used before. I've heard it used, especially when they're talking about government documents, that sort of thing, when they're
Oh, really?
redacting information.
Like going back older than or further back than 5 or 6 years ago?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Dossier, I know the word existed. I don't know how often it's going to be used in just regular conversation when you're not referring to government stuff.
Hmm.
That sort of say.
What about this is more than one word, but it's a term, the quid pro quo.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Have you ever heard of that?
I,
I heard a status quo, but I never heard that exact phrase before the impeachment hearings.
Yeah, I did hear that phrase. I think they use it a lot for example, when they're talking legal stuff, legal terms, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
When all this stuff was going down with Joe Biden, I could tell everybody was reading the same press release because everybody was using that phrase. It's like, come on,
Right.
y'all.
And
So,
the Democrats, they had a study group that went around the country and met with people, got them in conference rooms, and this was before the impeachment started, or before they needed the articles of impeachment really declared before they could start an impeachment.
uh-huh.
So they went around different parts of the country, met with groups, and they said, which do you identify with more, quid pro quo or the word bribery? And people said bribery. And then the Democrats said, oh, okay. So we'll make that one of the charges.
Oh gosh,
People know what that is. So when they hear it, it'll sound inflammatory and outrageous.
gotcha,
And then
gotcha.
I heard this one. This was right before the hearings began, and there was someone ahead of a committee, or who was going to be on that board, or the group of judges, if you will, with the impeachment, and they were questioning this woman who was one of the people that came up with that as one of the charges, bribery. And so they told her the definition of bribery and said that there's no evidence, there's nothing that pertains to that. And her response was, well, I'm not a lawyer, you know.
Uh,
Like, what you expected me to know the definition of a word just because I use that word? Come on. Come on. You know,
Man,
you
yeah.
know, I, I'm not sure what the word sanctimonious means, so I don't use it. Let me, if I think I may want to add that, I don't have enough words to describe how I'm feeling or to describe someone else. Let me look up the word so I can know what's coming out of my mouth. And
Exactly.
and clearly, that went away. That did not end up being one of the official final articles of impeachment, was bribery, because they didn't have anything that reflected that.
Right. Right. Wow.
And I know at the end of the last episode, I mentioned gun sales
Mhm.
and how they have doubled in America since the pandemic and the quarantining began. So since I guess you would say since March,
Okay.
number of gun sales in America has doubled.
Yes.
And obviously, this is because of people uh, being desperate, feeling desperate, wanting to protect themselves, and with the future being uncertain. So I heard that, and it was interesting to me. I'd also heard that a lot of anti-gun people and people that were against the Second Amendment, they were buying guns. You know, so when
Wow.
somebody gets their back up against the wall, their priorities may change a little bit.
Exactly. They'll their mind changes. Their they're not only their focus, but their perspective changes
Yeah,
definitely. They can talk against all about the Second Amendment until
right.
they actually need it to defend themselves, and then all of a sudden, you know.
And when I hear perspective, I think of the angle in which you're coming from and how things look from your point of view, which can totally, can totally change your world.
Absolutely.
The way I feel about gun ownership and gun control is I think anybody that wants to own a gun, own it, get it from an authorized dealer, or just legitimately. That could be a gun shop, pawn shop. It doesn't matter. But you want to buy from a guy who's going to do a background check.
Right, right.
If someone said, well, meet me at the playground at 3 in the morning, or just come to my house, come around to the back, I have something for you, then that's letting me know he's selling to other people like that too, and anybody can have one.
Right.
The other thing is you got to be responsible, be trained. The gun range that I go to has been closed for a couple of months because it's not an essential business. However, needless to say, even though I know the basic fundamentals,
Mhm.
I'm rusty and I'm eager to get back.
Gotcha.
Police officers, because of the nature of their job, they're going to the range hopefully once a week. 2 weeks go by at the most because
Yeah,
they need to keep that skill honed and sharp.
absolutely. Especially these days.
So be responsible, and that's it. Don't buy any guns that are illegal, or gun stocks or bump stocks, and then it's fine. It's
Mhm.
fine. I love background checks. I love these. What do they call it? Where like a uh, they have like a calling for people to come and turn in their guns for money.
Oh,
You
gun
know,
buyback.
a buyback. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that a couple times in Atlanta, and droves of people come out. Men, women, people of all ages. They
Mhm.
come, and it's like, oh, no questions asked. Okay, I sandpapered off the serial number on this one, but you'll need to pay that on mine. Here you go. Let me take the ammo out, and where's my money?
Right. Right.
Hey, it's a good way to get it. It's a good way to get them off the street. So no two firearms are alike. So you want to know how yours work. You want to know it just like you know your car from driving it. Every car I've owned drives and handles differently. I
Mhm.
know what it can do. I know what it can't do. I know if I see the light turn yellow, I know if Betsy can make it, or if I need to hit the brakes.
Mhm. Yeah,
So just saying to be responsible with that.
definitely.
All right, so of course we're in the midst of turmoil in the country with the protests, and this last straw that a lot of people are tired of seeing, with police brutality. And so I'm just asking the question: what is the solution to this problem? And is there any way to stop it when this happens? Someone using excessive force against any race, of a person who is a suspect, and then killing them. Is there a way to stop it, or at the most, is all that we can hope for is to reduce it to a minimum and a little as possible?
Well, I think the first thing that needs to happen is you've got to get honest about what is actually going on.
Mhm.
People get stirred up when it's a white cop on a black person. That's when everything gets stirred up. Have
True.
these same cops had, and I'm not saying, but have cops had these issues with people of other races? Have they had these issues with white cops and other white individuals?
Yeah.
So the first thing to solve the problem is actually to identify it and be honest about what's going on. So I don't think it's going to be solved until we get there.
And I think the media is working against that aspect of the honesty.
Definitely, because again, anything to get a click on a news, on a website, or a views on on TV. So that I don't trust them that they're going to be honest about it. They aren't. People have to begin to think for themselves, and a lot of the rioting and everything going on doesn't prove that out. People are not willing to think for themselves or ask the question. They're just willing to take what they're being fed.
All right. And so I have something I wanted to play and share for everyone from Candace Owens. She is a conservative woman who happens to be black, and I've been following her for a few years. She's getting into debates. You can find out about her story easily if if you go online and look into it. But she's a conservative. Dennis Prager gave her a show, or at least the Candace Owens show is on Prager's channel. And so, in my opinion, George Floyd was a criminal. He was a criminal. And just because he was a criminal doesn't mean he deserved to die at the knee of a police officer. But it does mean that I am not going to play a part of the broken black culture that always wants to martyr criminals, who wants to pretend they were these upstanding human beings that just wanted to help society, that just wanted to reach out and uplift society. And he has a rap sheet that is long, that is dangerous. He was an example of a violent criminal his entire life. Okay, up until the very last moment. Now, again, I want to be clear. This is not a defense for Derek Chauvin. No one that I have spoken to, no one in the news is defending Derek Chauvin. He is getting what he has coming to him. Okay, great. But why are we pretending that this criminal should be upheld as a citizen, as a martyr in Black America? A martyr for a fake narrative, by the way. Police brutality, racially motivated police brutality is a myth. Okay, so let's get into that. Not only are we using this death, right, and allowing it to cause these riots and protests, pretending this was some upstanding citizen in the Black community who was tackled down and killed for no reason, right? Not only are we allowing it to inspire riots in which Black people are dying, in which actual upstanding Black citizens are dying. Case in point, I'm sure you guys have all now seen David, the sheriff that just was shot and killed because he was trying to protect a pawn shop. Please look him up if you haven't seen it. I'm blanking on his last name. His first name is David, who was shot and killed for trying to protect a pawn shop from looters. An upstanding citizen, an actual head of he was the head of a police his entire life, 77 years old, did everything right, right? So we now have to kill upstanding Black citizens because a non-upstanding Black citizen, a career Black criminal, died. Now, did he deserve to die in that manner? No. I can't say it enough. No, he didn't deserve to die in that manner. But I will be damned if the rest of us upstanding Black citizens have to suffer because of this incident that rarely ever happens in America. So here are some numbers for you people that are still believing that police brutality is a real, racially motivated police brutality is a real thing. First, okay, I'm going to stop it there. And what happened after that was she went into the statistics of us being 13% of the population, men, Black men, 6%, which is about half, 13, and 50% of the prison population.
Yes.
So she goes into some stats with that. And so, but just based on what she said about making him a martyr and having a criminal record, and that we shouldn't be sticking up and standing up for him as the main chunk that I wanted everyone to get, and then we can comment on that.
I hadn't heard that. I figured she'd made a statement, but I just hadn't heard that. Um, I I appreciate that she said, he didn't deserve to die like that. No one deserves to die like that. I mean, no
Sure.
one. And she was right. This man had, I want to say, either 3 or 5 funerals or memorial services or that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And he had a criminal record. I mean, it it's true. It's not an opinion that he had a criminal record. He had a criminal record. That was a fact.
Yeah.
And the idea that a lot of folks in the Black community are presenting him as this model citizen when
Yeah.
he was not. I mean, it's obvious. People forget the process for the police. Someone had to call the police there, and they did because they probably have processes and procedures that the
Mhm.
managers or the owners give to them for the police to show up. They didn't just show up at the store and take them down. Someone
Yeah.
had to call the police to get them there. So, and I agree that she definitely has a point that a lot of folks in the Black community are now holding him up as a martyr, and I don't get that either. I have to agree with her. I don't
Right.
understand.
So looking at all truth and looking at all the facts. So one thing, yes, just this isolated situation, clearly a man unarmed, handcuffed, face down. Even if he was on methamphetamines or some kind of drug, at that point they should be able to subdue and control. So just this situation, and you should be able to put any race into any situation and have the same definition of right and wrong. Okay, so when you look at this, you see excessive force, and this did not have to happen. At the same time, I've seen murals of Floyd where he was graffitied a spray paint art done on a brick wall, and they gave him wings. And wings are associated with being an angel.
Right.
Now, I understand that he's gone, and it may be saying he's in heaven now. However, Christians know that when we die, we don't become angels. That's
Exactly.
another group of entities that God created to praise him, and they're on a level lower than humans or lower than people. Okay, so putting wings on him or putting a halo over his head is making it look like he was innocent. So,
Exactly.
I mean, again, no one said this. There were no words with it. So, I don't understand the reason for that, unless they want to make him a martyr. But we've seen with gangsters or gangster rappers that have died or passed away. Uh, Talk of them. I wonder if heaven got a ghetto, and like you can do anything you want to do down here, but you're going to heaven, or there's a special heaven where it's customized for people that are like you. And it's like, no, a Christian, no Christian should believe that. it's
Ever.
either it's either heaven or hell. All
Exactly.
right, there can't be a heaven where the bad people stay on this corner and everybody else stay over here. uh It's one thing if somebody turns around. If they're going through a revolving door of prison 3 or 4 times, they're obviously not turning around. And dude, he wasn't as old as I was, but he's middle aged.
Hmm.
And how old do you have to be before you learn your lesson?
Exactly.
It sounds like she was being thoughtful and thinking this out, and at the same time she was researching. She
Exactly.
obviously, dived in and did some research on him. So
Yes.
anyway, just to bring that out. So
That's
yeah,
the
look up Candace Owens. She got a lot of videos. One of the few Black conservative voices that you may hear out there.
Exactly. And she was wise in doing that. I mean,
Hmm.
as soon as his death hit the news, folks are out there marching and protesting, and they have no idea what's going on. They just know
Yeah.
they're emotional and we're going to protest. Well, you don't know what you're protesting. You saw a
Right.
video. That's it. That's why they're out there, because they saw a video. There's no context around the video. They don't know anything about the police officer. They know even less about George Floyd. They're just marching because they're on emotions, and that's the wrong reaction right away. It just makes sense to just wait, get some facts, and have an assessment, have your own assessment of what's going on, so you
And
can argue it in case somebody asks you questions about it.
And I would say to people, don't criticize the president when something like this happens, because I don't believe that there's anything that he can do. I believe that it comes from police chiefs, police sergeants, people over precincts, mayors, and whatever leadership we have, local leadership, wherever the NAACP is headquartered. I would appreciate it more if it was somebody that was in my community or lived 10 to 15 miles from where something goes down if they're going to get involved.
Well,
And
that's
it, yeah, go ahead.
okay. Well, just to piggyback on that, that's how
Hmm.
everything is structured. This is true for Minneapolis. This is true for Atlanta. This is true for all these places that have
Hmm.
had these incidents. And this is the first incident with
Hmm.
Minneapolis, as a matter of fact. But the local city council or the local board of commissioners is responsible for that local police department.
Right.
That's how that works. So folks are here, like you said, blaming Trump, and he had absolutely nothing to do with it. This is a local thing. So if people are seeking to
Hmm.
reform, they need to start locally because that's where it is. If Trump were to go and to say you must do an X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're going to label him a dictator, and that's not even his role. That's why
And
he's
it wouldn't matter.
it
It
would
wouldn't matter if he said it, because
no
extreme people that are on the edge, whether they be criminals, police officers, or whoever they are, if that's down in their soul as a part of their lifestyle, I don't think a word from the president, he would have to be a personal friend to really influence. Okay.
exactly.
So I don't think that there's, and people are saying, well, he could have said something to make things better. It's a time when the country needs to be coddled and caressed to help heal and deal with all of this. No, I don't think that would make a big difference. I mean, you can hear something from the president, from a leader, that makes you feel better, but that doesn't get down to the root of a problem, right?
Absolutely. And folks were saying the same thing about him during the coronavirus. He wasn't
Yeah.
making enough sensitive statements, and he wasn't coddling and caressing, like you said. He didn't assuage their feelings. Well, he's the president. He's there to solve the problem, just like you said, and
Hmm.
to make the situation better. He'll rub your head for a minute, but then, like you said, he's got to act on it to solve the problem. And feelings
Yeah.
don't solve problems.
And the other thing about that is, if you think about when Obama was in office for 8 years, there was a lot of black people that got clubbed by police officers. He obviously couldn't do anything. I mean,
Exactly.
it continued obviously during his administration throughout that time. And he said some things, or he said that this was wrong or that was wrong. It had no bearing on anything. The White House is too abstract and far off from these issues. That's why we break it down to smaller and smaller communities with
Exactly.
what needs to be done.
It's like, what do people want? Again, like I said
Yeah.
a while ago, what's the end game? But yeah, I think folks don't understand how their government works. They have no idea how it works because
On different levels, not
ex-
understanding. Yes.
they don't. I mean, if they have issues, again, talk to your local people. These are the people you
Mhm.
voted for, and there are consequences to your votes. Period.
Yeah.
It's just simple at every level. It's just as simple as that.
We're still going through the pandemic now. My county, the last time I checked, there were between 45 and 50 deaths since the inception, and like 11 11,000 people infected, in my county of Clayton.
Okay.
And we know that there was another big pandemic about 100 years ago. And I wanted to talk about that for a minute, and some of the similarities.
Okay.
So right around 1918, 1919, the Spanish flu was a worldwide thing, and it made its way to America also. 50 million people died worldwide. 50 million. In the United States, It's been a couple of weeks since I saw this. I'm thinking 627,000 deaths. That's the number that I'm seeing or remembering, but it's definitely between 600 and 650,000. And this was at that time. My great grandfather died in that.
Wow.
He was 35 years old. He was living in Pittsburgh, and he got the flu along with these, other hundreds of thousands of people in America.
Uh-huh.
He died when my grandfather, uh, Elmo Senior, was a year old,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
this just something that my dad, passed down to me. My dad is gone now, so he knows nothing of this. But I just kind of put the pieces together.
Yeah.
But those are the numbers. Those were the numbers. Some people, if you look at hospital staff and you look at some of the citizens in pictures, many people were wearing masks. Uh, then also, although some of the masks seem to resemble carnival or Mardi Gras, like bird beaks. I'm not sure what that was, or so they could breathe better or whatever.
Yeah.
But masks were used then. So just to put the numbers out, which we're over the hump in this. This
Mhm.
pandemic isn't going to get anywhere close to that. Last I heard, it was 110 to 120 deaths uh, in America. So that's a good thing. And think about the fact that at that time there were a lot less people in America. So that was a bigger percentage or a bigger chunk.
True.
Okay, there's probably less than 300 million people in America, and
Yes.
and and worldwide, I would say close to 4 billion, close
Mm.
to 4 billion people,
Yeah.
and 50 million of them, uh, were unfortunate. So that was 100 years ago, and I'd also heard in a news piece that the Hong Kong flu. This happened in the late 60s,
Uh-huh.
68, 69. There was 100,000 people in America who died from that.
Hmm.
Now, during that time, there was no quarantine. There were no people wearing masks. And remember, Woodstock went on in the middle of this. Now, you talk about a lot of people. I was born in 69, around the time this happened. I don't even as a kid remember people talking about it. No one in my family had caught it or passed away from it. And so I'm just trying to say there are waves and there are things that the country goes through. I'm a person that believes whatever people want to do, let them do, but don't force it. I don't want the mayor or the governor. I know they were at one point, but I'm saying I want to see us ushered out of that time when government is telling us if businesses want to open up, let them open up. You can regulate and patrol and make sure that they're being safe. And then at the same time, the patrons and the customers don't go to it or don't patronize it if you don't feel comfortable. But
Absolutely.
what's going to happen is most people are going to follow suit with what their friends are doing and their neighbors. And oh, this, this is safe. They're doing this. They feel comfortable with that. That's just the nature of the beast. You know, well, how are things? What's the common play? What's the word on where we can go? What we're going to do? You know.
Yes, and that's true. People uh, act as if they don't have a choice. For this particular virus, we were
Yeah.
told to stay in. Okay, we stayed in, and that's fine. Made sense. Flatten the curve. Make sure we didn't overwhelm the hospital system.
Right. Right.
That happened, and then we're slowly reopening. And all this time, they're giving guidelines for if these businesses want to reopen. This is what they had to follow. And folks are still, well, I don't think it's safe. And why are they doing this? And the governor is killing people. It's like, honestly, you still have a choice.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you say if you don't want to go, if you don't, then don't do it. No one is forcing. No one is going to come into your home, drag you out of it, and throw you in a restaurant. It's just not going to happen. So,
right, right.
it's, and like you said, people will do what they see other people do. If other people, okay, oh, I'll dip my toe in the water, and if it's
Yeah,
okay, then I'll dip my foot in, kind of like other people do. But folks were acting like it was a mandate that they had to go out to some place because things were
yeah,
reopening. If they still don't feel safe, stay home.
right, right.
Meanwhile, other people are going to continue to do what they need to do. So,
It's a part of freedom, and whatever you do, just try to be responsible and be safe. But life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in that order. Let's have life. We gotta live. And living in a free society is not the same life or quality of life in an oppressive society, or where
yeah,
people don't have the freedom to go out in an amusement park or congregate at a social event or a community event. We can still pull out of the uh, of the downturn in the economy. We can still pull out of that. I believe we can pull out by the end of the summer, early fall. But
hmm
if we wait too long, there's going to be damage, and we'll be in a full blown recession. And it's everything. We're all linked together, right?
yes,
Even before the World Wide Web and the internet, we were already linked together, where there were domino effects based on business relationships and chains.
yes.
So, um, just to throw that out. And then here's a tweet that I saw from Trump today. I've done more in less than 4 years than Biden's done in more than 40 years, including for Black America. Now, this
Yeah.
is on his Twitter account going out to everybody. All right. So
Mhm.
we already know that. We mentioned it on this show, and we know Biden's history. We challenge people to let us know just off the top of your head if you're a Biden supporter or a Hillary fan. Three or four things that they've done in the last 30 years as senators, okay,
Mhm.
working in Congress. Or if you want to add on all Hillary's great accomplishments as not vice president, first lady, right? Yeah, whatever. Okay, she was a lawyer before that, I think, and then decided to run for office, and off of being Bill's wife, won. But
Yes.
I haven't heard New Yorkers or anybody talk about what she's done as senator or Biden. And then he goes on and says, Biden has been a part of every failed decision for decades. Bad trade deals, endless wars, you name it. He has shown a complete lack of leadership. He's weak and shot. that's, and that's the end of it.
Okay. And it's
So
true. I mean, honestly, like you said, what have they done in 30 years? And all of a
yeah,
sudden, folks are going to vote for him, and
right.
he's going to fix all these problems when he had 30 years to fix the problem. If he had 30 years to fix it, and he's definitely not going to fix it in 8 or
And
4.
think about the fact that Obama did not endorse him as long as Bloomberg was still in the race. As a matter of fact, when Biden became the sole survivor and there were no other choices left, just to be a team player with the Democrat Party, then Obama, then he endorsed him. I mean,
Exactly.
I haven't even heard him endorse him. I know that maybe they had a conversation and he said, "Hey, can I use your name?" I don't know. Maybe they got on the phone, but in the commercials for Biden, when they have sound clips of Obama, or whatever they say about him, they're old. They're going way back. It's nothing newer, nothing recent. And they meshed it together because maybe he still didn't want to say anything, since 2020 began,
hmm
in his favor.
Exactly. And it's interesting. It's like this guy was a heartbeat literally away from the presidency.
Yeah,
And his former boss, Obama, took
yeah,
that long to even endorse him.
Yeah,
And I know
right.
folks will say, well, when it comes down to when it comes out at the primaries, or I'm not sure what they call it, I can't remember right now,
That's
but
okay.
when there are so many in the field, then they wait until it narrows down to who they're gonna select.
Yeah,
Then they'll get endorsements, that sort of thing. They don't select folks during the primaries. Well, I mean,
right.
this guy was your vice president for 8 years. It seems like you should know him better than almost anybody, but you
Yeah.
still waited. It just he
Oh
doesn't have a
boy.
whole lot of confidence in him. He really doesn't. And the thing that Biden had with Obama is Obama gave him cover, from what I understand. Because again, I can't remember anything spectacular that Biden did when he was even vice president. There's
Yeah.
nothing that stood out. Yeah.
Right. Right. And Biden backpedaled on his statement about if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Right. I don't know if you heard this.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay. Now, before I heard that he said anything to try to cover that up or make up for it, some people on the far left were saying, "Oh, well, when Biden said that, he was just kidding.
Hmm.
He didn't really mean it. He was just joking." Okay, really? I saw the video. I was looking in his face. He said it seriously. This is on the Breakfast Club
Hmm.
with at the end of the show with Charlemagne. After he said it, Biden didn't laugh. Charlemagne didn't laugh. Nobody smirked. It didn't look like a joke. Okay, it looked like I'm trying to get votes and I'm trying to shame you. And look, we can cut this cut this out later if you want. I'm just telling you exactly how I see this. Like Biden is saying, okay, all right, all y'all jigaboos get over here on the left, and all y'all jungle bunnies in the middle, and over here on the right, all you spear chuckers, all right, all the real brothers over here, right chair, over here, over here. Okay, y'all ready? Okay, turn around. We're gonna follow suit. March. Come right behind me. You
Mm,
know, that's
yeah,
what it looks like.
that,
That's what it looks like for him to say that. All right. And
it
so
really does.
then,
Hmm.
right? And then I heard the report from some of the far left saying that. And then Biden says, and then Biden apologizes and he says he was sorry. Oh, okay. All right. When I apologize to someone, it's an admission of saying something wrong.
Hmm.
Now, that's not the same as saying that it was a joke or that I didn't mean it.
Right.
It's saying, well, I was out of line. I may have hurt someone's feelings. I apologize.
Hmm.
Right. Because it was from your house and Charlemagne's house, and there was no audience there. And you thought that you were talking to him and his friends, and you didn't see anybody else or think about anybody else. And that makes him even weaker. But he was actually saying the truth about how the Democrat Party thinks. All
Absolutely.
right. And they could take a big banner and put at the bottom of it, if you don't vote for us, you ain't black. That could be their motto. That could
Hmm.
be their motto or their slogan. Because after the civil rights movement, they figured out, hey, Martin Luther King worked with Kennedy. and
Yes.
and that caused or made a lot of blacks want to go Democrat into the Democrat Party, and we have a lot of followers because of that. King is gone. We want to keep their followers. He's not here, so we'll try to be their leader. And I'm telling you, ever since then, going on with no accountability, even with race removed. You want the person in office to represent you. I don't mean represent your blackness or your race. I'm talking about with the things, the essentials that people need, with the human wants and needs of people. They should represent you and be held accountable.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's where a lot of folks are missing the boat. They think just because they look like them that they share their values
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And that is so far from accurate that it's not even possible.
And I can tell you for a fact this since I was a teenager. I've been seeing black people that look like me that are very corrupt in politics. All my life, I've been seeing shady black people in politics. So I don't go by that. You really have to be naive to think that.
And willfully ignorant. Honestly,
Yeah.
these days with information at your fingertips, you don't want to change. You don't want to know anything new. You don't want any additional information. It's just so easy to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, all these folks defending Biden after he said that there, and these are, I want to say someone on ESPN defended him and for what he said, and a lot of quote unquote black leaders lined up and came to his defense. Oh, like you said, it was just a joke. It was just kidding. No, it was. I don't understand why they aren't upset because they're being told what to think and how to think.
and I can say or speak the way that I've spoken about it because I didn't hear it out of context. I heard the last minute or two before he said that, and I
Oh,
was able to see his face when he
wow.
said, and it's so exemplary of, it's such an example of the Democrat Party.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And what they think about that vote, they don't care.
So
Okay. That'll work. We can do that then. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Brutally Honest Talk Radio. And leave a review for us wherever you listen to this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and again, wherever you hear this podcast. Any last parting words?
yeah, thank you. So I want to say, people, anyone's been following us this long or by this time, they've heard a lot of episodes, and you hear us talking about a lot of different things in government and country. And this is how I am and how I feel. And you could say if you basically agree, but I want the kind of country where the harder you work, the more you are rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
Just put that at the top. And then anything that gets in the way of that, whatever it may be, it's a problem and needs to be dealt with. And then also, when I'm saying the harder you work, I'm saying sometimes a part of work is learning and going to school or getting a skill. All right. So if you work really, 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 really hard at Burger King, but all you want to do is flip burgers, well, you've put a ceiling on your reward
Yes.
and how much you will get. So learning and working hard go hand in hand. Sometimes you feed your mind, and then sometimes you apply the muscle to what you're doing.
Yes.
And so, whatever the government wants to do or get involved, I don't want people to get free stuff or be given things for nothing. Anyone who is not willing to work, they don't deserve to get anything. You don't reward laziness.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's kind of the center of where I am and where I want to see the country go and my expectations of those that are in government.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, even the Bible says you don't work, you don't eat. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So, yeah.
Yep. If you do not work and pay your bills, your very bed will be snatched from under you in the middle of the night.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Great. Well, on that note, we'll see you guys next time, and we hope you have a great week. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Brutally Honest Talk Radio. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, reach out at bruthonest@gmail.com. That's BRUT, honestradio@gmail.com.